don't think it's nice you laughing. You see, my mule don't like people laughing. It's a crazy idea laughing at him. If you'll apologize like I know you're going to, I might convince him that you really didn't mean it. Yes, welcome all to my updated spaghetti western ranking. Let's adjust the poncho. Yes, spaghetti westerns. I did a top 20 spaghetti westerns video a couple of years ago, and as I was looking back on that a few days ago, I figured I needed to change and do an updated one. I need to get a new version, new improved, updated version out there because, well, my picks have changed, obviously, and also I have changed. As I noticed that video, I was pretty wooden. At least that's what I thought when I look back at. That's why I never look back on my old videos. It's a recipe for disaster, really. Um, However, there are some new things that I will bring to this ranking. This will not just be a top 20 redux, like, a redux of the top 20. It will be that, but I will also add 10 more films to it and make it a top 30. So this will be my top 30 spaghetti westerns so far because, well, there are just so many out there. I just want to cover a few of them while I can. I mean, I've seen like some 150 odd spaghetti westerns at this point. It will be impossible to do a ranking of all of them, like from 150 to the last. That would be absolutely impossible to do. However, I can give you a few dishonorable mentions. I think we will do that in just a few minutes. However, before we do so, I do want to make a few recommendations if you are getting into the genre. There are two places I recommend you should go if you really want to learn more about the genre, learn more about which movies are out there released on DVD, Blu-ray, etc. and stuff like that. And if you just want to know everything about the actors and stuff like that. First, I want to recommend the website, the Spaghetti Western Database. This is a absolutely fantastic website run by fans, made by fans. Fans, are on it on the message boards, myself included. I'm on there on the message boards where you can talk everything about every spaghetti western, and you can just meet like-minded people. It's a fantastic place. And then another thing I want to recommend very, very highly is this awesome book by author Kevin Grant, Any Gun Can Play. Very, very highly recommended. It is like 500 pages or so. Yeah, just around about 500 pages with so much info and sort of in-depth things about every film. Great pictures as well in color and black and white. Oh, Raquel Welch, look at that, Henny Calder. This book, if you want to know which actor was in which film and stuff like that, there's a great index at the end listing every actor and the credits they were in, a little biography as well. What a fantastic book this is. Again, this covers like the spaghetti westerns early years, the Leone years, the political Sabata western years, stuff like that, the comedy stuff, everything is in this book, the Bible of spaghetti westerns. Highly recommend to pick this book up. I mean, yeah, it's fantastic. They also did a hardcover book version. This is a sort of soft cover, what is called paperback. Well, yeah, I guess paperback edition. But there is also a hardcover book variant out there. And so without any further ado, let's go into my top 30 spaghetti western. Again, spaghetti western redux ranking, because again, I did a top 20 a couple of years ago. Within that top 20, definitely stuff has changed. Just want to throw these few just want to mention a few of the changes that will be made in the top 20 or that are made in the top 20 since last time. The last time around in my, top 6 choices, I covered all the Leone films. I was like, well, Leone is the master. His films should be, all of his westerns should be number 1 to number 5. Because yeah, he made, the Dallas trilogy, Once Upon a Time Was in Ducky Sucker. So I placed all those at the top. I have changed that around a little bit. I still have obviously my personal favorite 2, which are Leone films, at the top 2. But I mix it up with some Corbucci's and stuff like that, because I figure I shouldn't judge these, on the director, because obviously if we did, Leone would be still at the top. I'm just judging these on the basis of, how entertaining they are as spaghetti westerns, how much what went into it and stuff, and the actors, and just how much I enjoy them, and how underrated they are as well as a factor. So yeah, there will be a breakup. I mean, the top 5 won't be just Leone anymore. And also within my top 20, and actually within this entire ranking, 2 films are omitted entirely now from this new ranking. In my previous top 20, I had If You Meet Sartana, Pray for Your Death, the first Sartana film, and the second Ringo film, The Return of Ringo. Those 2 are not in my top 20/30 anymore. They are honorable mentions. I do want to mention them. They are great films. I love all the Sartana films. My personal favorite actually being the 4th one, If You Have a Good Funeral, My Friend, Sartana Will Pay. And yeah, the Ringo films I recommend as well with Giuliano Gemma. However, there's a Gemma film on the list that is probably my favorite solo Gemma film that will be mentioned within the ranking. Another film that has really, really dropped down significantly, it was in my top 20, is Keoma. That was firmly in the top 20, it's now way back. Matter of fact, you're going to find out the placement of that pretty soon. But yeah, those are just some of the changes and some of the stuff you can expect for this top 30. I will do this in 2 parts. I will cover number 30 to 16 in this part, and in part 2 I will cover 15 to number 1. Obviously, I don't want to keep you guys here all day. So anyway, without any further ado, let's get into my updated spaghetti western ranking, my top 30 spaghetti westerns of all time as of this moment, as of 2024. Here we go.
Number 30.
And at number 30, this is the film that has come down significantly, really. Keoma from 1976, starring Franco Nero, directed by Enzo G. Castellari. Also with William Berger in it, and Woody Strode in there as well. Yeah, the cover, don't let the cover fool you. This has nothing to do with like Django or anything, even though they would really like you to believe it's Django, because it says here Franco Nero, Django is back and writes, strikes and kills again. Just below Keoma it says Django writes again. No, this has nothing to do with Django. This is a completely different character. It's still a really good film. It's a really good film. I do really enjoy it. However, it really has been brought down on subsequent watches, and it always has been sort of let down a bit by the music, the soundtrack. I talked about this in my original top 20 spaghetti western ranking. The music in this is appalling. It's awful. One of the worst music scores you will ever hear for a film. Yeah, it's just really not good. But it's still a Franco Nero movie that made the list. And going on to just a few more honorable mentions before moving on to number 29. If you want some more Franco Nero, I do have some honorable mentions with him. Massacre Time and Texas Adios. I love both those movies. They just didn't make the list. They are probably in the top 50, I would say. But they didn't make the top 30. But yeah, Franco Nero and Enzo G. Castellari, spaghetti western, very late one, 1976. Yeah, Keoma at number 30. I do recommend it again. But yeah, it's the soundtrack. Don't expect the Morricone soundtrack. That's all I'm gonna say. Number 29. And coming in at number 29, we have Sergio Corbucci's The Hellbenders from 1967. Yes, 67. This is the Kino Lorber Blu-ray, starring Joseph Cotten. Yeah, Sergio Corbucci. He's definitely my favorite director of the genre, right next to Leone. Corbucci came damn near close to the level of perfection of Leone. I mean, it's if you're into the genre, it's very hard to say Sergio Leone and not drift on onto Corbucci pretty soon. But yeah, Hellbenders, fantastic film about a group of ragtag Confederate soldiers after the Civil War trying to get some gold and smuggling it in a coffin, trying to rebuild the Confederacy. Very a lot of double crosses, drama. It's a really good film. This one I highly recommend. This one. Ennio Morricone score can't go wrong. It's not the best Morricone score, but I do really like it. So yeah, Hellbender's at number 29.
Number 28.
And coming in at number 28, this is a pretty undiscovered gem. A Minute to Pray and A Second to Die, directed by Franco Giraldi and starring Alex Cord, Arthur Kennedy, and Robert Ryan. Also, you got genre regulars like Mario Brega in there, and the lovely Nicoletta Machiavelli is in here as well. She was in Navajo Joe, which is another film. Of course, you will remember if you watch my old top 20, that wasn't my top 20. It might still make an appearance here today. But yeah, this is a fantastic film. I want to keep these as spoiler-free as possible for people to enjoy them the most. But if you've seen The Great Silence, I would say tonally it's similar, and especially ending-wise, it sort of hits that sort of Great Silence sort of vibe. Yeah, highly recommend it. And yeah, this is, if you can get this one, get the German cut, by the way, because I think there is a US DVD and Blu-ray. I could be wrong, but those are cut, and I think the German one is the only version that's uncut. I could be wrong, but that's as far as I know. Anyway, that's A Minute to Pray, Second to Die. Highly recommend it. More like this, please. Yes, there are definitely some more similar ones to this in the genre, and we're gonna probably cover a few of those because I do really love more sort of nihilistic, sort of more bleak spaghetti western. This is one of them. Give it a watch. Highly recommend it.
Number 27.
And coming in at number 27 is another Sergio Corbucci one. This is a pretty early Corbucci one. This was before Django. I think this actually came out the same year as Fistful of Dollars. The same year that Leone changed the landscape for westerns, Corbucci brought out Minnesota Clay, starring Cameron Mitchell. People would say this is more of an American feeling sort of spaghetti western. This doesn't really have that classic spaghetti western feel to it yet. However, I still really love this one. Great score by Piero Picconi, probably butchered that. And also you have great genre mega superstar Fernando Sancho in this one as well. Yeah, I really love this one about an aging gunfighter slowly going blind. And again, it's typical sort of Corbucci. The hero, doesn't get through the end of the film unscathed, let's say. The hero always has to suffer. Those were some of the elements very known in spaghetti western, especially in Corbucci ones, already present here. I cannot recommend this film anymore. However, this German Blu-ray here, nice picture quality, everything, nothing wrong with the transfer and stuff. However, there are multiple endings for the film, and this one doesn't have my favorite ending. So if you want, well, you can make up your own mind, but there are multiple endings. Just be warned about that. Anyway, that's Minnesota Clay.
Number 26.
Coming in at number 26, this is my favorite solo Giuliano Gemma film. This has definitely overtaken Ringo, or Arizona Cold, and even Days of Violence, which I know my buddy Carlos Eastwood for Life and my Western collaborator, one of my two Western collaborators on the podcast. I think he has said it's his favorite Gemma film. I go a different way. I go for The Price of Power, aka A Bullet for the President, directed by Tonino Valerie, with Giuliano Gemma. This is a really good underrated one. I freaking love everything about this one. Again, it's a more nihilistic one, more definitely a politically charged one. This is definitely came out, I think, what was it, 68, 69, as most of the great spaghetti westerns did. This one definitely dealt with stuff that was going on around the time, racial tensions, racial prejudice, and even, the whole sort of setup for this film is there is an assassination on the president in the Wild West, and it really heavily borrows from, of course, the assassinations that were going on at the time in the 60s, JFK, and even Robert Kennedy and stuff, and Malcolm X, whatever, all those, weirdly bizarre but part of our history, assassinations, real life assassinations. They're sort of, they incorporate stuff of that in here, so to make the Western. And it's a really interesting one. Again, I really recommend this one. If you do want more Gemma, there's one coming up with him and another great genre star, of course, in my top 20. But if you want more Gemma, of course, watch the Ringo films, watch Arizona Cold, watch Days of Violence or Days of Anger, whatever it's called. Long Days of Vengeance, I think. California is another great Gemma one, and pretty much any that he did with Calvin Jackson, Paget, Blood for Silver Dollar, Fort Yuma Gold. Recommend all those films. Anyway, let's move on to the next pick.
Number 25.
And coming in number 25, we have Klaus Kinski's starring role where he played the hero for a change instead of a villain. And I'm talking about Antonio Margaritis and God Set the Cane. This is, I think, from the early 70s. I think this came out in 1970 or 71, right before the Westerns went comedy. This is definitely not a comedy. This is a very, very dark, film. Very moody, atmospheric, whatever the word is. Yeah, really, really love this one. Again, you got Klaus as the hero this time. Again, usually he's typecast as the villain. Well, I say typecast because there's multiple reports and stories of him being a villain in real life, of course. But yeah, and God Set the Cane, this is a really, really good one. I do highly recommend this one. Yeah, part of the Arrow box set. Which one is it again? It's the Vengeance Trails box set. You can also still, I think, get a DVD and stuff of it. It is one that is out there. You just have to look for it, but I do highly recommend and give it a watch if you can. And God Set the Cane, fantastic film.
Number 24.
And coming in number 24, we have Tomas Milian in a politically charged revolutionary Zapata Western, co-starring the great Orson Welles, believe it or not. We have Julia Petroni's The Peppa. Yes, this is a fantastic one with a great haunting score, once again, by the maestro, Ennio Morricone. Yeah, this is a great one. This is one of Tarantino's favorite as well. It's in his top 20. And yeah, I absolutely love this film. One of my favorite Milian films for sure. Yeah, the director of this one, Julia Petroni, also did Death Rides a Horse, Nest of Vipers. He did some good spaghetti westerns, but this is one of his best. Right next to what I think is his best, which will be coming up again a little bit later. But yeah, The Peppa, again, if just the concept of Orson Welles in a spaghetti western appeals to you, it really, he does a great job, and he sort of plays a very sadistic Mexican bad guy, Mexican general. Highly recommend it. The Peppa, fantastic film, and again with a great haunting dark ending as well. So yeah, check it out. You will not be disappointed.
Number 23.
And coming in at number 23, we have a great, very underrated spaghetti western with Gianni Garco and Claudio Camaso, who's actually Claudio Volante, the brother of John Maria Volante, who you might remember from Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, among others. They made sort of two films very similar to one another with the same cast and stuff. Also, Fernando Sancho's in this one. This one is the second film, and for a while I actually preferred this over the other one, which will be coming up. But this one is Vengeance is Mine, also known as $100,000 for a Killing, or something similar to that. But it's often referred to as a twin film to $10,000 for a Massacre, which again, that film will be coming up. I do prefer that one now over this one, but this one still is pretty solid, excellent film. Again, Gianni Garco, the original Sartana. These are some great films right here. Again, Arrow Video put this one out in the Blood Money set, and highly recommend, if you can still get that, to pick this up. We waited a long time for $10,000 for Massacre and this one to be released on Blu-ray, and Arrow Video delivered. Hallowed be their name for sure. Yeah. Again, this is a little bit more of a sort of darker, more stylistic sort of film, where Johnny Garco and Claudio Camaso play brothers, but they hate each other and they sort of become enemies. And it's a sort of more more, I guess you can also say it's a little family drama in spaghetti western, which they did do a lot, a little Shakespearean and stuff. But as with any spaghetti westerns, there's plenty of shootouts and fist fights and stuff like that, and plenty to keep you entertained. And I do highly recommend this one. Music by Nora Orlandi, one of the few female composers of the spaghetti western. She did a fantastic score for this one, and $10,000 for Massacre, and also Johnny Yuma, which would have been another honorable mention. I do really love that film as well. But yeah, Vengeance is Mine, aka $100,000 for a Killing. I think that's the title. Recommend it. Check it out.
Number 22.
And coming in at number 22, we have another one that was highly anticipated for an official English language release, either on DVD or Blu-ray. And again, Arrow Video are the ones that delivered with their recent set, their recent spaghetti western box set release. And I'm talking about El Puro with Robert Woods. This is a fantastic film right here. Very overlooked gem. I'm so glad that Arrow Video has released this, and it's really becoming discovered now, hopefully by genre fans. We'll be able to watch it for the first time, uncut and stuff on a great print Blu-ray. This one is on YouTube, but I think it's not the full version of it. It's also known as The Reward is Yours and the Price is Mine, or what is it? The Reward is Yours and the Man's Mine, or something like that. But El Puro is more commonly the more common title. Yeah, this one is great. Man, directed by Eduardo Malagria. I think he did a few westerns. This is definitely his best one. Yeah, I did Django with Anthony Stephan. Oh, here it is, the alternate title, The Reward's Yours, the Man's Mine, yeah. And the score by Alessandro Alassoni, who did the whistling on the Morricone tracks. And it sounds a lot like a Morricone score by his whistling. So, yeah, great movie. Do highly recommend it. Again, it's a more darker film. Robert Woods plays a drunk gunfighter. He's aging. Drinking. This one has a lot of elements. Really. This one has a lot of great elements, and I highly recommend, again, El Puro, number 22. Let's move on to number 21.
Number 21.
And coming in number 21, a film that was originally in my top 20 the last time I did this, but this is Giulio Questi's one and only Django Kill If You Live, Shoot, with, again, Tomas Milian. Probably the weirdest spaghetti western that is on my list. Probably the weirdest spaghetti western. Well, there are a few, but definitely one of the weirdest you can ever come across. This one is so weird, so bizarre. Gay cowboys, a parrot with a drinking problem, very violent disembowelment of somebody, which again for the time was pretty violent and stuff. That sort of, you have to see it to believe it. But yeah, Tomas Milian, again, another one of my favorite roles of his. He doesn't really do a whole lot special in this film like he did in some other films, but it's still, he's more laid back, more subdued. He's more of a sort of Eastwood, sort of character, Franco Nero sort of character. Obviously, they called it a Django film, which he doesn't. I don't think he's called Django in the film. I think he's a stranger. I don't think he ever gets a name. But yeah, they slapped Django on there nonetheless. But as they did with a lot of films. But yeah, I do highly recommend this one. Again, such a bizarre one, more of a gothic one. Yeah, very dark and broody. This one, highly recommend it. Django Kill at number 21.
Number 20.
And coming in at number 20 is a film I like more and more and more and more, really, with each viewing. And it is 1968's Cemetery Without Crosses, directed by Robert Hussein, also starring Robert Hussein and also Michel Mercier. This one is such a, again, very broody, very atmospheric, very similar again to The Great Silence, very nihilistic and stuff. It just seems I have a thing for those films, for those spaghetti westerns. But yeah, I really love this one. Again, I can see this one shoot up even more on in my top 20. Absolutely fantastic film. Cannot recommend this any higher. One of the most catchy theme songs in the spaghetti western as well. That isn't by Morricone, I should add. But yeah, highly recommend Cemetery Without Crosses, number 20. Nothing left to say. Number 19 coming up right now.
Number 19.
At number 19, we have another Sergio Corbucci entry. I really love him. I think it's obvious by now I love Sergio Corbucci. I did a review series on all of his westerns, and this one will always be one of my top favorites as well of his. I don't care what anyone says. Does the wig that Burt Reynolds, who stars in this film, is it a ridiculous looking wig? Yes. Is it a flawless spaghetti western? No. But I still really love it. I'm talking, of course, about Navajo Joe from 1966 as well, with Burt Reynolds, Nicoletta Machiavelli, and the great Aldo Sambrell as the villain in this one. Great spaghetti western with a great score again by Ennio Morricone, which Tarantino used in Kill Bill Volume 2. Yes, Burt Reynolds as a Native American. Yes, you can say he's wearing red face and stuff like that, but again, I don't really go into the whole political correctness, woke stuff. He's an actor. I think an actor can play what the hell he wants within limits, of course, still. No disrespect to Native American people, but I don't really think this is too much of an issue, is it? I mean, It could just be me, but I don't really see any issue with Burt Reynolds as a Navajo Indian. Again, it's me. Again, it's my own personal opinion. We all have our own different opinions and stuff. But Navajo Jodo is a fantastic spaghetti western. I really, really recommend it. Yeah, get your hands on it if you can. It is widely available in the UK, the US, Germany, all over the place. Get it, watch it, and report back to me if you like it. And if you don't like it, well, report back to me as well. I love to hear it. But anyway, Navajo Joe, fantastic film. Let's move on.
Number 18.
At number 18, we have a film that really shamelessly ripped off Fistful of Dollars, which Fistful of Dollars in its own was a rip off again of Yojimbo. But this one, Tony Anthony tried to be a little bit like Clint Eastwood. However, they didn't have a budget to get a poncho for him, so he wore a blanket in A Stranger in Town. Yes, I actually do have the DVD of it, as well as the Blu-ray. This has always been one of my favorite spaghetti westerns. A lot of people prefer the second one, the Stranger Returns. I prefer A Stranger in Town, or A Dollar Between the Teeth, which is another title for it. With Tony Anthony, he did 3 of these films. He did this one, Stranger Returns, and The Silent Stranger, or The Magnificent Stranger, or something like that. Yeah, very low budget, very shoestring budget, but I really like it for it's condensed. You know, it takes place pretty much in one town. You know, instead of in Fistful of Dollars, you know, Eastwood was playing 2 gangs against each other. Here, Tony Anthony only has to deal with 1 gang. Yeah, the theme, which is great, it does repeat itself a lot, but I still like the theme and the music in this. And yeah, made on a shoestring budget, but really, what is one of the biggest saving graces for me is, it's pictured here on the back, coincidentally, Frank Wolf as the villain. One of my favorite spaghetti western villains is Frank Wolf as Aguilar, a fair man in this film. Yeah, A Stranger in Town. This is one of my favorite spaghetti westerns. This is one I'm hoping to cover on the podcast in the future because I really, really love this one. Again, it's a low budget one, don't expect too much, but I just like the simplicity. I like the simplicity of it. It's also a short film. You know, 83 minutes is what it says on the back. Yeah, it's a short, fun ride for me. I come back to this one often. This is really one of my favorites. It might not be a favorite for many, but it is definitely one of yours truly. Let's move on.
Number 17.
At number 17, we have a real undiscovered gem. I think one of the biggest champions for it is Tom Betts from the Spaghetti Westerns podcast. He always calls it like a hidden gem, undiscovered gem, and I completely agree with him. And I've seen this film again a few times. Again, it's low budget, don't expect too much, but there are some really good things in it. It's more of a Greek tragedy in the story, but it has some fantastic performances and fantastic action scenes and stuff, and a great score. One of the best scores that isn't by Morricone for sure. This one, I'm talking about The Forgotten Pistolero from, what is it, 68, 69 or something? It doesn't say the year here, but yeah, Forgotten Pistolero with Leonard Mann starring, and also with Luciana Paluzzi, Bond girl Luciana Paluzzi, yes, Fiona Volpe from Thunderball, Peter Martell, Piero Lolli, genre regular, and it's directed by Ferdinando Baldi, who did a few classics in the genre, a few little undiscovered gems. Django Papero Coffin with Terence Hill is one of them. That one almost made the top 30 as well. I really recommend that one as well. But yeah, Forgotten Pistolero, one of the greatest themes ever. Again, it's more of a Greek tragedy sort of story with a family drama a little bit. But it's very, very well shot and well acted. This one deserves a Blu-ray because I imagine this one will look fantastic on a Blu-ray. Dare I say even in 4K, this would look absolutely fantastic on. But yeah, Forgotten Pistolero, highly recommended. Let's move on to the next pick.
Number 16.
And coincidentally, I should say the last pick for this part of the video, because obviously, like I said, I'm splitting this up in 2 parts. We're covering until number 16 for this one, and we'll cover 15 to number 1 in the next part. So for the last pick of this particular video, before we move on to part 2 in, with number 15. At number 16, we have the political Sabata Western, A Bullet for the General, yes, with John Maria Volonte from the Dollars films and Klaus Kinski. And another Bond girl in this one, Martine Beswick. She was in From Russia with Love and Thunderball. Who's right there on the back. Also Luca Style in this one. Yeah, this is directed by Damiano. I can never pronounce his name correctly. Damiano Damiani. Yeah, that's the best effort I'm going to give it. He doesn't consider this a spaghetti western. There's an interview with him here on this Yeah, here it is. Interview with Damiani. There's an interview with him on this Scotch Media Blu-ray, and he doesn't consider it a spaghetti western. He said he made a political film, not a spaghetti western. It sure looks and sounds like a spaghetti western to me. So to each his own. He doesn't consider it, fine. I do. But yeah, great one. This one again, a great score. Luis Bacalov, who did Django. He does the score for this one. And yeah, Klaus Kinski plays a maniac in this one once again. He plays a religious priest who throws dynamite and blesses them, before they blow up and stuff, whatever. It's crazy. No, he throws hand grenades. That's what he throws. Yeah, really, really excellent. Again, highly recommend. Again, it's a more, well, when it comes to the ending, again, it's more, it's not a typical ending, again, let's say. But yeah, Bullet for the General, highly recommended. And that's it for this part. I'll see you all in part 2. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Stay tuned, of course, for that part 2 coming up. And as always, Westerns for life. And I'll see you all in part 2, amigos.